If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 2. It is VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here in downtown Las Vegas inside Circa Studios here in Las Vegas. He's our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. And Jensen going to have Mike Palm, of course, join us in hour number 2 here in studio at Circa. He and Derek Stevens had a very big night. All the people here at Circa, big night. They threw out the first pitch, Derek did, for the Angels and the A's last night in Sacramento. So that's going to be a lot of fun to catch up with Mike about their road trip last night and see what the books are looking at this weekend. I'm sure a lot of talk's going to be about what we're talking about here, and that is what the NFL has done here. And I always talk about this every offseason. Like, when we bet on these things come September, remember some of these rule changes that are enacted or shot down. And that's where we begin hour number 2 with our highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
All right, 24 hours ago right here, we're thinking this thing's done. Tush Push is dead. They're going to vote it down. And then a funny thing happened at the owners' meetings yesterday, Jensen. Apparently, you had the owner of the Eagles get up there and do an impassioned speech about the tush push and the play. I can't use some of the language apparently that he used with the other owners in there. Equated it to maybe young boys when they come of age for the first time, and they're like whoa language. So they went through these lengths apparently. Jason Kelsey, the former, the center for the tush push, if you will, for the Eagles in their glory days. Of course, he's retired now. He flew there to make a pitch, and then all of a sudden, 22-10, the tush push stays. It gets a stay of execution from the governor in the last hour. And you remember this? You could have bet on this. It was plus 250 this time yesterday that the tush push would stay, and it did. So something changed here, Jensen, and maybe it's the speeches. I don't know what, but I know that Green Bay, they were the ones, and remember, Green Bay got ousted by Philadelphia last year in the playoffs. Maybe I don't know why they're most bitter about it, but it seems like it's kind of forged a new rivalry, if you will, between Philadelphia and Green Bay. And before we get into the parameters and what it actually means, the Eagles put this out on X. If you're watching here at VSiN.com, they put basically a picture against Green Bay with Jalen Hurts under center getting ready for the tush push. And it just says, push on with the Eagles logo. Well done. That's what social media is for. If you get mad about that, if you're Green Bay, beat them. Go out there and beat them. What do you make of this? Because it did feel like it was dead in the water, and then all of a sudden, not just a reversal of fortune, but really overwhelmingly in support to keep it at 22 votes, only 10 nay votes.
So I believe in that picture. I saw some comments circling social media. The Packers stopped the Eagles on that tush push.
Oh.
I don't know if that's accurate or not, but now that would be the irony of ironies there, that the Packers were the people leading the charge to have this play banned, yet that picture right there that Philadelphia used is indeed an instance in which the tush push failed. That is, we'll revisionist history. We'll check and see if that's right. Some have said that speech very reminiscent to the Patrick Henry 1775 at the Second Virginia Convention of "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death." Calling in reinforcements of Jason Kelsey to come throw his proverbial weight around with the owners to try and get this thing across the line to have this be stood down. So here's the bottom line. You and I agree in this, a Louis Ross administration, we would have overturned this immediately by an executive order. If you can't beat them, you got to find better ways to try and do it. The shift in baseball was one that Joe Madden and the powers that be there in Tampa Bay had created to try and gain competitive advantage. Everyone copied it, and then people tried to find ways to try and beat it. The shift has been altered again. Now you'll still see it, that there are adjustments to it and rule changes to it, but you can still shift, maybe not in the most egregious sense that we've seen in years past, but that's there. I think for football, and I brought up this stat, and I'm intrigued your thoughts about it, because we're going to have a lot of anytime touchdown parlays on this show, and probably a lot of correlated plays with it. Jalen Hurts now the last 3 years, and this would have shifted significantly.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
If the tush push had been banned, you're thinking Saquon Barkley is the beneficiary if this gets banned. Okay, Jalen Hurts the last 3 years leads the National Football League in 1-yard touchdown rushes. He has 33 of them. The next closest is Josh Allen with 14, and Josh Jacobs third with 13. So, just again, how this rule change, or at least the lack of it, will now directly benefit Jalen Hurts and hurt a Saquon Barkley just in that iteration of it, something to factor in as we get closer to the start of the regular season.
I got to tell you, look, I would like to be an owner for many different reasons, but one of them would be to be in that room yesterday, because apparently with this impassioned speech by Jeffrey Lurie, he had to be called out for his language, right, by some other owners. Order, sir. We will have decorum in these chambers. And it sounds like a political filibuster, that it went on for like hours, and that somebody
says Patrick Henry.
Yeah, and Jensen, apparently another owner said, how long is this guy going to talk? Like, I would have loved to have just seen how these other owners are like, oh, my God, will somebody shut up Jeffrey Lurie, please? Like, enough, dude. Fine, we'll vote your way. I mean, it worked. He got it the way he wanted to work. But that must have been hysterical for some of the other owners that are like, this guy's just going on and on and on and on and on. Now, the other thing is, the Bills were one of the 10 that voted against, because they did list the 10 teams that voted against to actually ban the tush push. And yet they have the second highest rate of success with it, which I found interesting, that even though it might have potentially hurt them offensively. And I want to give a shout out to Gil Alexander when you listen to a numbers game after us, because I was listening on the drive home yesterday, and Gil had mentioned that part of the discrepancy here in the argument, if you're making a good faith argument either way on this, right? Like, we don't have the data on the injuries. That's a lame argument, because we do not have that information. That the defense is not allowed to do, if you will, a reverse tush push. They can't stack their guys and push their guys back into you, right? So if the defense can't do it, why can the offense do it? I think that would be a fair argument to ban. But also, I'm glad they didn't do it, because now you've seen this. You get down to the 5-yard line, a runner gets stopped, a defensive player runs it, and then all the linemen come in and push him into the end zone. That would have been illegal. So we would have seen flags down the field. The last thing we need, Jensen, is more flags and more litigation by the league. I'm glad it's going on, and I'm glad the Cowboys were not one of the 10 that voted against it. They're like, fine, just do it, Jensen. This is what you want to do, Philadelphia. This is the only way you can get a yard. Then that's fine. Go ahead and do it. We'll figure something else out.
Was it Sean Hockley who wanted to award a touchdown, for all the different penalties? You do it again. I'm giving the team the automatic points. Listen, to put a bow on it, I think, the right decision was made.
Yes.
Also, the right decision was made to not reseed. I
Thank
know that
God.
The Lions had brought that up.
They rescinded
There is something to be said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is something to be said, okay, for that reason alone. When you look at where the Minnesota Vikings would have had a great argument
they would have
themselves. Say, we are directly going to benefit from this because we are one of the best teams record-wise. But it remains to be seen here if, you play out the year the way it was, because the Vikings had every single chance to be the 1 seed. They didn't get it done.
Right.
All right. The Lions, the beneficiary, ironically, of winning those late season games that catapult them into a better seed, that'll allow them the opportunity. They just didn't show up against Washington.
Correct.
And credit where it's due. Washington did everything they needed to. You had every advantage you wanted. So I was kind of flabbergasted that came up in and of itself from Detroit of all places. But again, they got it right there. Now all we need, Dave, is the overtime rules to be amended just a bit further, and we're in the sweet spot.
We're getting closer. They can feel us coming, Jensen. They know that we're coming. We're going to switch that rule and finally get that thing fixed. I will say this. The other rule that did not pass, the 5-yard illegal chuck, if you will, illegal if you've got third and forever and you get a 5-yard chuck penalty or holding, whatever you want to call it, it was on the table to make that not an automatic first down. That did not pass. So those still will be automatic first downs. Interesting. It would have changed a lot of your wagers out there,
doubt.
right? You're going to have more punts. So maybe that's more offense. They didn't change that rule to keep some of those drives going. So fascinating yesterday here with the NFL and the Rules Committee. By the way, if you have not checked out VSiN.com, do so each and every day. We had Greg Peterson on. The man never sleeps. He's got his picks up there for you. Zachary Cohen's been all over it with his NBA best bets, looking even better now with the Pacers and that win. Coca-Cola 600 preview. If you're not running, if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing right there. JD, the Iceman, cometh here with his NHL best bets. We've got some NBA props for you, Major League Baseball props. It's all up there for you when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber, just $199, 14 months of it by using the promo code PRO at VSiN.com/subscribe. Some very sad news to pass along in the NFL, and significant news yesterday that Jim Irsay sadly did pass away, the owner of the Colts, yesterday of all days, at the age of 65. For those of us that are old enough to remember Bob Irsay, his dad was the man that, in the cover of Night, took in those Mayflower moving trucks way back when from Baltimore to Indianapolis. And then Jim Irsay really became the face of Indianapolis Colts football. His daughter is now reportedly going to be taking over the team here. But really sad news, Jensen. Just 65 years young, Jim Irsay, what an interesting, colorful character. Really lived his life to the fullest here. But he's no longer with us at 65. And I got to think, if you're a Colts fan and or a player today, Jensen, that's going to be a really tough one to get over. And then they're going to be emotional about playing for him starting week 1.
Yeah, and quickly, I know that his last handful of posts on social media before he passed, wishing the Pacers well, have to believe some divine intervention at work there, getting Indiana to that win.
He will be missed in those, certainly in those owner meetings and beyond, and certainly by the faithful there in the great city of Indianapolis. Come on back. We've got the Daily Diamond coming up next.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
According to Saltus Wealth, 41% of high-net-worth individuals report having been victims of financial crime. Are you next? High-profile individuals like you need more than off-the-shelf solutions. You need concierge digital security from Reputation Defender. It's not just another app. It's a team of experts using best-in-class tools to protect you and your family, covering virtually every aspect of your digital life. Visit ReputationDefender.com/success to learn more. That's ReputationDefender.com/success.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. Going to have Mike Palm in studio in the next segment. Always great to have Mike in studio here on a Thursday. Catch up with everything going on behind the books here at Circa and certainly beyond. And they were well beyond yesterday as Derek Stevens threw out the first pitch in the A's and Angels game. We'll get to all of that. Some funny tweets have been coming in here. I had posted out there a little bit about the Yesers maybe stealing the Knicks and their girlfriends last night. And then Chin responded, as a Knicks fan, I don't appreciate this tweet, LOL. Also, Bart had said maybe the Pacers are just really good and the Cavs ran into a buzzsaw at the wrong time. And then that came back from the Freestar Collective, who just tweeted back, nah. So, Jensen, where are you before we get to the Daily Diamond on that? Like, are Cavaliers fans easier with this now? Like, yeah, maybe the Pacers, we just caught a hot team at the wrong time.
Listen, I think the toughness factor is what I go to. I mean, the Pacers push the Cavs around, and that's in and of itself. I think we saw the physicality in the first half just yesterday of how this series is going to be officiated. They're going to let them play a little bit, and that's nice to see.
Yep.
But credit where it's due. Pacers executed. They shot the lights out from distance in that Cavaliers series. They earned every single spot of getting past Cleveland and into this Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody listening, certainly out there, Sirius Channel XM 158, and everybody that tweets at us. And again, you can always get us at VSiN Live each and every day. But without further ado, let's get to it. It's time for today's edition of the Daily Diamond. Oh, I'm still a little bit bitter about the last 2 days in Pittsburgh. Not so much that the Buccos can't score. It's that the Reds couldn't take advantage of it, losing 2 out of 3. What do you make of it to kick off today's edition of the Daily Diamond?
And just to give you an idea on the Reds, 20-5 when they score first, 5-21 when the opponent scores first. Now, here's the thing on the scoring angle here, Dave. I know Mitch and Paulie have had a couple of people chiming in with some of these historic numbers, and Greg Peterson mentioning, if you didn't join us earlier in the show, he talked about it. Here's where we start. Buried treasure, and that's the Pirates offense that's been buried, at least in the scoring column, 26 consecutive games.
Unbelievable. 4
or fewer runs scored. Their team total set at 4.5 right now as they open a series against the Milwaukee Brewers. They are at home. Total is 9 for the game. But if you want to take the under just by itself, 4.5, under 4.5, minus $1.45, we're going to parlay it with a guy who has been really hot for the Brewers, Bryce Terang. That parlay in and of itself is going to pay you $1.20. So plus $1.20, Pirates team total under 4.5, Bryce Terang to record a hit. Cedric Mullins, Orioles finally get off the schneid. They win in extras yesterday. They will travel to Beantown to take on the Red Sox. Lucas Giolito making another start off the IL. Cedric Mullins has owned him. 8 for 13, a 6.15 average, 3 doubles. Let's just go 2 total bases. I was shocked when I saw this. Plus $1.75. Let's go, Dave. Cedric Mullins, a little wall ball off the Green Monster, and we're cashing that ticket.
I like where your head's at with that. By the way, 2 things there. 1, so the Reds are officially the anti-Indiana Pacers. They just can't come back from any deficit once they fall behind. And 2, Mom and Dad gave me a text yesterday when the Orioles won. Because remember yesterday, they were like, ooh, we kind of like that 50-1. They're like, they're 1-0 since Mom made the mental bet. Mom's not betting, by the way. What do you have today? Maybe an early call, as Greg Peterson says. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Yeah, we got happy hour and some day games, abbreviated slate today, but a couple of places to attack from a hitting perspective. Jacob Wilson, your leader right now, as the betting favorite to win American League Rookie of the Year. A great shortstop for the Athletics, 380, 8 doubles, and a homer in day contests by the same. Let's go for another young shortstop in Bo Bichette. Tick over 300 there, 7 doubles and a homer. Today's matchup's pretty advantageous. Stephen Kolek will get the start for the Padres. And also the Athletics will face left-hander Tyler Anderson for the Angels. So a couple of right-handed bats. Let's go 2 or more hits, runs, RBI for Jacob Wilson. That's on DraftKings at minus $1.55. Bo Bichette minus $1.10 for 2 or more total bases leading off for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay, let me ask you this, because my memory, for some reason, when I think of Jacob Wilson now emerging here with the A's, my brain goes back to Bobby Crosby. Like, is this look, Bobby did not pan out the way people thought. Is Jacob Wilson going to be Bobby Crosby, but the good version of Bobby? And I don't want to, if Bobby's listening out there, I was always rooting for you, just never came through for me the way I wanted you to. Is Jacob Wilson somebody they can really look at and say, this might be a foundational type guy?
Well, listen, your comp is great because back in 2004, Bobby Crosby is your winner of the Rookie of the Year.
See?
And so you could have it staying in the family there for the Athletics as well.
See, people you got to remember the past so you don't you're not condemned to repeat it. Let's get through some more here. And boy, the Phillies. Again, we handicapped that. We said, man, this is one of those shorter shots. They were over 10-1 to have the best record in May. It's starting to look pretty darn good. Part of that handicap for me was the schedule. And Jensen, right now, they're taking advantage of the ones they should.
Listen, Philly fanatics unite, and they usually do it very well in the Mile High City. So we just went with Mile High fanatics and yet another advantageous starting pitching matchup for these Phillies offensive weapons. So a couple of guys that have been trending in better directions, Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, both with incredibly favorable statistics individually against German Marquez. 546 the average for Boehmer, 417 for Castellanos. Kyle Schwarber has had a field day this series, a lot of homers, some extra base hits, 353 with a couple of bombs himself against Marquez. Let's keep it simple. Kyle Schwarber, 2 more total bases, minus $1.45. And then we're going to parlay a little bit more of a lotto ticket, you would think, but it's not because of being there at Coors Field and where the prices are. Alec Boehm and Nick Castellanos, 2 total bases apiece. That's plus $1.68, Dave. So some plus money prices here. We've had some near misses on some of these batter props the last couple of days. Been tough luck losers for us Tuesday and Wednesday. Hopefully get some momentum going in these day games for some of these hitters and get us back on the plus side.
Good news for Philadelphia is you're playing that series here against the Rocks with a chance to sweep it on the road. The bad news is you can't play Colorado every day going forward. This is something that we talked about before the season with our buddy Joe Serralo, does a great job here in the network on cashing out, is that if you're a Metropolitan backer like Joe and I are, that maybe you'd want to wait a little bit, see if they got off to a slow start with the pitching and get a better number on them to possibly win the division. That did not happen. They got off to the great start, right? And then now that the Phillies have overtaken them, you could play the Mets at plus $1.30 to win the division. Phillies, by the way, plus $1.10. Atlanta, even though they got rained out, interesting, they dropped 50 cents in the marketplace to plus $4.50. I don't really get that line adjustment from 24 hours ago. Jensen, my question is that a fair price now? Because, by the way, Sean Manaea is going to come back here, maybe 4 weeks from now. They're going to get some reinforcements, and the pitching's been good. And we know that we assume that Vientos is going to start heating up in the middle of that lineup. You assume Juan Soto is going to be able to hit at some point of the season and start to figure it out. Is that playable for you for the Mets at plus $1.30? Would you still look to the Braves at the longer number of plus 450?
Probably the Braves, and just the recency bias here, Dave. This is another kind of crazy quirk about where we are in the Major League season. You are correct in saying the rotation for the Mets has been one of the biggest reasons why they've gotten off to a great start. Back into their bullpen has actually been quite good as well. Everyone is not hitting right now. I mean, everyone is slumping in this Mets lineup. And the irony here is they get an off day today and they welcome in the LA Dodgers for a 3-game set tomorrow. The Dodgers pitching staff has been downright dreadful.
Right.
Okay. And so if you were looking for an elixir, I would not have circled the Dodgers as the team to do it against. Now, if they get some momentum there, then you could see a launching point because they get the White Sox for 3. Ooh. Then they also get the Rockies a week from tomorrow there at Citi Field. So you could see light at the end of the tunnel if you're the Mets offense now and go against, at least on paper, some starting pitching and pitching staffs overall that have really struggled as of late.
Yeah, and I know, again, we had Adam Burke on yesterday in the program too, like out of the top 3, who could be the odd man out? I start to worry. I know the Phillies look fantastic right now, 13 games over 500. Alvarado's not coming back anymore this season with the suspension. Yeah, they got great front-end starting pitching, but I still look at that and go, that feels a little fool's gold to me. Just a little bit. 13 games over 500. That's all I'm saying. You're going to be out there, Jensen, going to be hitting the road for the College World Series in Omaha. We're going to be live as a network there June 12th through the 14th. So we're going to be broadcasting straight from Rocco's, the iconic home of the Jello Shot Challenge. I'm sure if you go out and say hi to Jensen, maybe you can do a Jello Shot after hours, Jensen, after you've already done your fine calls for the College World Series here. So you can catch Money Moves, follow the money live from Omaha, going to bring you the sights, sounds, and the best bets from the tournament. And if you're in the neighborhood, you should stop by and say hi. You got to be pretty jacked up for that, my friend. That's going to be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. And again, probably the selfish part of me hopes that my Vandy Commodores find their way out there. But can't wait to get out to regionals next week. I'll be to be determined where that site will be for Thursday and Friday's edition of By the Books next week.
That's going to be pretty cool. Coming up here pretty fast here next month, June 12th through the 14th. When we come back, the great Mike Palm in studio, and that means Palms pressing 3. That's next, right here, VSiN By The Books.
in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here on a Thursday edition. Always love when Mike Palm takes the time to come in studio here and join us here. Palm's Pressing 3, we'll get to that in the next segment. You can always follow Mike, as I do, at Mike Palm Circa. Does a great job here running the properties with Derek Stevens. And speaking of, Mike, we have to start right there. I didn't know if you're going to make it back for the show today. Because weren't you just like in Sacramento like 10 minutes ago?
I think we left about 11:30 last night. It was a long game, guys. I just looked 3 hours and 17 minutes. It was every bit of that.
Oh, that's long now in Major League Baseball?
Well, yeah,
Paul
because
Lance?
you're down to 2:33, 2:34 for an average game time.
We used to have 4-hour games all the time.
We used to have 5-hour games. They were called Yankees Red Sox. I mean,
Oh, God.
Tell the people why you guys were there.
well, we have a partnership, a sponsorship with the A's, right? So we have a big sign out there, and we do promotions like we did with the Padres, where they can win a getaway, sweepstakes, and all that. But we hadn't been up there to Sacramento yet, and we wanted to meet some of our, the client relationship people that we work with that we hadn't met, and so we went up yesterday for a little day trip for a Wednesday night game. So, it was pretty fun. It was nice. Most of those executives or people that work for the A's still live in the Bay Area, right? And they drive down the hour and a half.
Okay.
Maybe it's not every day. Maybe it's once a home series or once a home stand. But it's a pretty interesting park.
We're seeing here, Jensen, the picture that Derek posted of all you guys, Mike, with the Circa crew and with Mason Miller there. Tell us a little bit about the park, because Jensen knows this from playing. Certainly in the minor league parks, and you're trying to make this a major league venue. What did that feel like for you to get the feel up close and personal of what they're doing in Sacramento?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a nice park. It doesn't go all the way around in the outfield, like behind left field. There's no seating until the very end, which this pavilion section they have there down the left field line is very nice. It might have been the nicest place we sat. We sat in like 7 different places,
sure,
right? During the course of the evening, we got the full tour. By the way, their club for their high season ticket holders, Legacy Club. I don't know if there's a mark issue there or not, but and then there's the Solano Club, which was named after the minor league team that was in Sacramento in like the 20s and 30s and all that. And they have a lot of cool different activations and areas there. I was excited. This will come up in. Maybe I'll just save it for the second segment. But there's an area in right field where it's the hill, right? You bring your lawn chairs, and a lot of kids out there.
Yeah.
And so I was impressed by it. It's just to the scoring, the 3-run homer by the leadoff hitter for the A's that made it 3-2. I mean, the center fielder took 2 steps in. And then he just gradually drifted back, and all of a sudden the ball flew over the 408 sign, right? So, and a lot of the homers were, crushed out of there. It's just there's no foul territory.
Yeah.
There's not one out recorded. There's not one pop-up that even a player moved to like they had a shot to catch a foul ball. So I know it was all overs early, and then it trended a little over, but I couldn't bet it under in that park.
Yeah, no, I remember, Mikey, too, when I was at the Reno, the Aces AAA affiliate for the Diamondbacks back in 2012. We were fortunate to go there early, and it was still cooler temperatures, so we did not experience the ball traveling as we've kind of seen early on thus far. And I've tried to relay this to people. The balls that we use in AAA completely different and softer, if you will, than the big league balls. It felt like throwing with a cue ball in some respects when you got up to the big leagues. So it doesn't shock me about that. I have a fond memory of that place because that was when Manny Ramirez was still playing as a minor leaguer with the River Cats, as Sacramento's AAA was called. It's still amazed to me, and I'm sure you see it now with some of the big league guys. He was like, I'm not swinging at a pitch that I'm not looking for. And so I knew my slider and my changeup were ones that he wanted to get to it. I threw him 3 heaters down and away, and he never moved. He never took the bat off his shoulder, and I'm still in awe of the discipline that he has as a hitter. In much in the same respects, like I look at a young hitter in Jacob Wilson. I know he got hurt with the forearm injury yesterday, but you look at Rooker, who is kind of an all-or-nothing guy in some spots. Shea Langoliers is really, really good. Tyler Soderstrom's having a great start to his year, but Lawrence Butler kind of been the catalyst that really got the A's back on the map.
Yeah, the kid from Kalamazoo, Schumann, hit ninth last night, right? And he was 3 for 3. But I thought the turning point in the game, he comes up, they're down 6-5, bottom 7. First and second, nobody out. He squares the bunt. The pitcher steps off. He bunts very hard to the first baseman, who throws across the diamond for the force of the lead runner. I thought that was the key play of the game. They didn't get any more runs in, and then the Angels, who are red hot,
they are
tacked on more in the 8th and the 9th.
We're burying the lead here, gentlemen, because not only were we there, obviously to be in Sacramento with the partnership that Circa has, but Derek Stevens did throw out the first pitch. Now,
one of eight first pitches. They're doing a great job selling them up there in Sacramento. He was number 2.
Now, I believe we have the video. And Mike, for everybody that's watching at VSiN.com, you get to see it. But if you're listening here, Sirius channel 158, Sirius XM, can you give the people a play-by-play on Derek's first pitch?
Is this going to be through the whole pitch here?
I don't know if we have the actual pitch.
So he tweeted that. He tweeted that he's going to throw a ball and Mason Miller would come in for the save. Wrong on both counts. Now, watching.
He looks good in a jersey.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Jersey looks good on him.
So he said, I have to get out there and warm up. I can't just do this cold. I remember we were at Wrigley Field a couple years ago, and we went into the left field wall where the bullpen is. And he and I were throwing off the mound, and I'm like, I don't remember it being this far in high school. Holy So anyhow, I said, you got to go do long toss or something. So they bring the bat boy out to catch him, so he can warm up for 10 minutes before. You should have seen him. I thought he was Louis Tiant with the wind up. I mean, he was bouncing him. He coupled off my shin. I was blocking him so they didn't hit the kids that were standing behind home plate. And then he walked out there, and it wasn't quite George W. Bush after 9/11, but he threw about an 82-mile-an-hour cutter right on the inside corner. It was beautiful.
There it is.
It was really nice.
So we get a strike from Derek. Jensen, that's got to be nervy. Look, for you guys, this is what you do every day as professionals. When you see the guys out there, Jensen, have you ever seen some really bad first pitches in your time, maybe in Cleveland, and you went, oh, that one sticks out?
Yeah, oh, God. Channing Frye was absolutely horrendous and then made an excuse after it. We know the mayor of Cincinnati, his name escapes me, was one of the worst. 50 Cent, obviously, top 10 all-time worst first pitches. I will say, Mikey, I have experience that Derek had last night. So I think it was last year or the year before. The Guardians bring back alumni in the summer for each homestand. And it was one of the weekends I was off from doing pre and post game. I'll find the video. I do have it, and we can run it back maybe tomorrow. We'll do a little recap of it. But I didn't warm up. I mean, you don't do that. You're a big league pitcher. It was me and Paul Shuey, and thank God we threw at the same time, because I think I would have had a little extra nerves if I had to do it by myself. We were on opposite sides. I was throwing to David Fry, and Tanner Bybee caught me. And I remember getting out there, and I'm like, oh, God, it's really getting to me a little bit. I don't know why I'm feeling nervous. So I totally get it, man. It's harder than what it looks.
Let me ask you guys out there, because you're there. Obviously, you got big games going on the ice in the NBA playoffs as well. How did you guys navigate that, and what were you guys rooting for the Books' interest?
Yeah, what we weren't rooting for was a guy to hit the 7-teamer. The 7-teamer that came down, and it was MLB totals, I think 5 totals and 2 sides.
Wow.
And it came down to we needed the Diamondbacks to beat the Dodgers. So at the time that he hit the 6th leg, it was still 1-0 D-backs in the 5th, right? And so we're kind of watching on our phones, because now we were out in right field in the hill in the grass area there. There were no TV around in the suite that we could see, and we're watching on the phone. And Derek's like, "How many pitches is Burns at now?" And I said,
"Oh man,
he's at 90. First and second, 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th, and Teoscar Hernandez is up." And Derek goes, "Oh Christ!" He goes, "That's the best player in baseball." I go, "Would you stop?" He goes, "He's better than Ohtani." Yes, he's better than Ohtani. I said, "He's better than Judge." In my mind, he is, Mike. I looked down at the phone, 3-run homer. I said, "Bet Derek, 420 to center. It's over. Pay the man."
Oh, God.
No, it was just surreal.
The games within the games,
Yeah, right.
as you guys are watching
Yeah.
the game. That is amazing to me. But the Knicks, is there any liability here for?
Well, the Knicks was part of that. The Pacers, I get the Pacers was one of the legs plus 4.5 on that ticket. And then they were up 15 with 4.5.
It's over.
But the Pacers are now
man.
doing this heavy series. I know the cardiac cats. Can we say the pulmonary Pacers? Will that catch on?
And that's rather stunning to cash those tickets in the way you do in that manner. You got to have a little bit of luck along
We
the
get
way.
lucky sometimes too on the other side a lot. So one of these days, those big parlays are going to hit.
Still bringing the A's to Vegas?
That's the plan.
Okay. I'm sure you guys have a little insight there. This summer, if you want to come out here to Circa, check it out. It's a great property, obviously. You should do so because there's a great deal. I do mean this. $400. What does that get you when you come to Circa? It's not just a 2-night hotel stay. And again, those resort fees and taxes are included. You're going to get a $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, a day bed at Stadium Swim. All that for $400 through September 4th. You got to check it out, circalasvegas.com. When we come back, it's time for Palms Pressing 3.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. We do this each and every Thursday. Fresh off this trip from Sacramento, it is time, Jensen Lewis, to buckle up for Palms Pressing 3.
Pressing? Yes, I say it's pressing.
This is Palms Pressing 3.
My mother told me never to answer a question with a question.
Sir, my client has answered every question asked by this committee with the utmost sincerity.
All right, Jensen. We'll start out here with a filibuster of my own. Last night in New York, we witnessed what can only be described as a monumental meltdown with the Knicks snatching defeat from the jaws of sure victory. But if you've been watching closely, it was not just them. Across all major sports, we're seeing a surge in blown leads and late-game collapses. In your experience, what's behind this trend? Are teams simply forgetting what got them to the lead in the first place, especially when the opposition starts mounting a comeback? Is there a false sense of security that the other side is going to fold, or is it more psychological, where players fear making the critical mistake, or even a kind of mental conditioning where, based on past failures, players begin to expect the worst the moment momentum shifts? Or what we all believe it is, and that today's players are just mentally soft and can't handle when others punch back in the most critical moments when the lights are the brightest and on the grandest of all stages.
Yeah. The old Mike Tyson, everyone's got to play until they get punched in the mouth, right? I said this to Dave earlier, Mikey, and it bears repeating that you don't practice blowing, like a double-digit lead in the final minute of a game or giving up 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth on the road. Like it's not something that mentally you go through from a practice standpoint to be ready in case it happens. So I told Dave, and I'll tell you, I've never seen a postseason in and of itself where we've had the amount of double-digit blown leads in the fourth quarter, third period in hockey, with multiple goal leads. I always say that from an athlete in the moment, unless you're there, you don't really understand what it feels like hitting you. And so from a betting perspective, it's almost going to be an auto bet situation for me now with the trends, especially in the NBA. The team trailing at halftime, I think you just blindly tail the second half spread that they're getting because it's hit. 15-2, 16-2 in the NBA postseason, at least the last 17 or 18 games. So, yeah, it's, again, a lot of this is emotionally based because you just don't prepare for it.
By the way, you'll practice end-of-game scenarios, NFL, certainly basketball, right? But to Jensen's point, you can't really practice that emotion of blowing a lead. Like, how would you condition your players to get ready for a moment like that?
Well, I don't know, but when you're up 7 with 40 seconds left, you would think you have a better plan than turning it over 3 straight times in the NBA. I mean, we see every round with the Pacers coming back. The Cavaliers did it. Milwaukee, everybody said,
Yeah.
oh, Doc Rivers. Only Doc Rivers could blow that lead, right? And over, well, now we've seen it. We've seen it in each round. And I was all ready for a fake Ace Ottinger here. And
Yeah,
it
you
goes
were.
from 3-1 to 5-1 pretty quick.
Believe you me, we were all waiting for your rant on
Here we
Jake,
go.
and then all of a sudden you get 5 goals in the third, and you can't do it today.
Their talent might just overcome him. All right, question 2. We got to Sacramento early yesterday, walked around a little bit. There was a farmer's market going on. Very nice. Anyway, but we were there very early. We were trying to get a tour of the stadium, and I was looking forward to batting practice for a 7:10 start, Jensen. And then I kept waiting, and about 5:45, they said, no, the teams aren't taking batting practice tonight. Well, they're not taking batting practice for a 1:05 start today. And I found this to be very, very strange, but maybe I'm out of touch. So my question to you, Jensen, is how many times in your playing career did you see teams not taking batting practice on multiple consecutive days, and how often does it happen in the modern game?
So we usually, on getaway day, especially if we were coming home off of not even just a long road trip, really any road trip, rare to see any batting practice on the field for a getaway day. For us also in the hot and humid places like Kansas City always stuck out. When it was super hot and humid, you try and limit it. If guys want to go out for early BP, they would do that. I'll tell you the places I love to do it. The old Oakland Coliseum, ironic we talked the Athletics here, because their field, at least early in the year, was just immaculate. Like, we'd lay down on the grass doing stretches and be like, this feels amazing. The other time we like to do it is when it was football season, because you'd have the yard lines and we'd do our long toss and see how many yards we could go. And then we would run routes for our sprints. So that's how we get ready for BP. Sky Dome, then now Rogers Center was always awesome to do it. Sometimes in the Metrodome we wouldn't do it just because guys could get hurt with not being able to track the balls with the white roof. So yeah, I think there's definitely those opportunities, more so now that the analytics departments are involved, saying like it's better to be off your feet or it's better to be in the cage to do it. But to each their own. A lot of it's manager dependent, but certainly some opportunities, especially on getaway days where you won't really see a lot of live BP.
Jensen, as you know, Friday Night Lights is my favorite movie out there for football. And when the preacher man says to Booby, you didn't lift. And he said, this is God-given, baby. I just got to show up. Is that what these guys are doing now? Because is that frowned upon? Is that looked at as you're not putting in the extra work?
No, because guys are in the cage. I mean, rarely would you see, hitters not at least do some tee work, some soft toss. It just may be in a position there where they can be in a more controlled environment. You're in that live batting practice in the field. You're moving through 3-4 guys in a group. And so some guys like to have the video on them for swings where they can have the Rapsodo or anything like that. They can break some things down. Maybe they're working on a piece of their mechanics where, you're in live BP, you're going through routines, you're going through your 3-4 sets. So a lot more of that is predicated on what the individual hitter is trying to work on and if they need the controlled environment.
Well, it certainly hurt him last night. There was only 25 hits and 15 runs. I looked up in the 7th inning. The A's had left 12 men on base through 7. And I had to look up what's the record for a 9-inning game in Major League. 16. I mean, they were flirting.
Oh, they were close.
Well, they walked the bases loaded in the first. They didn't get anything out of it. All right, final question, Jensen. Batting 9th in the Angels lineup and playing second base last night was Tim Anderson. And I really hope one day they do a 30 for 30 on this guy because, I mean, let's look at the arc of his career. He wins the AL batting title in 2019. Hits .335. For 4 consecutive seasons through 2021, through 2022, he hit over 300 every year. He was a starting all-star at shortstop for the American League in the last 2 of those seasons. Then he has a terrible final year with the Sox. He hits .240. He goes to Miami last year and hits .215. And he had a hit last night to bring his average up to 200. Oh. What happened to Tim Anderson, Jensen?
You may not remember a night in which there have been a lot of heavyweight fights and UFC bouts. But when Tim Anderson decided to stand over Jose Ramirez, and the lead up to this is the better part of the story, is because throughout the early part of the year, TA had been talking some smack to our rookies and our younger position players out there at second base. Well, Jose got wind of it. And Jose is not a super emotional guy as far as that's concerned. Like, he's pretty even keel when it gets to those kinds of things. And he had enough. And the breaking point was TA kind of stood over him, and Jose didn't like it. You could see the reaction. And then, Tim says one thing, and I'm like, okay, there it is. And, the infamous Tom Hamilton call, down goes Anderson, because it was the stunner of stunners. Dave, I don't know if it's a first-round knockout, what Ramirez was priced at. But certainly one of those first-round fight to end of the first round, that came home swimmingly. One of the great bench-clearing brawls that I've seen. I've only been part of one, actually two, I should say, and I induced one of them, throwing at Adrian Beltre. But, yeah, that's the reason why. Go back to that moment, Mikey. That's the demise of Tim Anderson.
And to be fair, too, TA squared up first on Ramirez.
Sure did.
Yes,
He asked for the
Rules
smoke.
of engagement.
Right? He asked for the smoke, and then that right hand over the top. Oh, my goodness. Down goes Anderson. Yeah, Jensen, I think you're spot on, though, that it can be a singular moment like that. He has never been the same guy. He was the king of Chicago.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
They loved him in
This guy
Chicago.
was on a trajectory for a Hall of Fame career.
Yes.
Dave, and now he's a shell of himself.
That's why I don't fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my career. You get knocked out, and all of a sudden you can't talk anymore. Great stuff in the Palms Pressing 3 today. What do you guys got for today? You get to rest up?
They're doing the announcement this afternoon.
Contest.
It's the contest
Oh,
announcement.
Oh, right, you're going to be on.
Mitch and Paul, and I'll be on with Derek and Jeff Benson. That's 2:00. It'll be 2 segments.
2 segments.
We need 2 segments to announce everything. So
My goodness.
there might be a little surprise today.
Can you give us a little?
I can't.
Yes.
It's all
Come on.
everything's embargoed.
You can't break it on our show?
There might be somebody listening live. I can't take that chance.
Mike, thanks for coming in as always on a Thursday.
Thanks,
You got to stick around later on today for Mitch and Paul with Follow the Money for the big announcement. 2-segment announcement coming up this afternoon here on the network. When we come back, going to kick off hour number 3 with news or noise, and we'll get to that NFL schedule breakdown. We're going to talk about those Packers. They couldn't outlaw the tush push. How are they going to do this year? We'll break it all down. Hour number 3 straight ahead. It's VSiN By The Books.
Are you ready to unlock your creativity and transform your passion for beauty into a career? Southeastern College is here to help you take your first steps towards training for a career in cosmetology. Unlock your potential and start your path towards a career making people feel confident. It's time to invest in yourself. Visit sec.edu for more information on our programs and take the first step toward training for a brand new career in cosmetology. Your before and after story starts now at Southeastern College.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.